Hello everyone, welcome back to more AEW on TEW 2020. We are here in the 4th week of July, starting off with our Dark and BTE. Young Bucks do their intro, they still have the physical tag belts. So, yeah. Sorry about that. Northa and Chris Bay are backstage, looking very nice in their suits, and they are approached by Tully Blanchard's guys, led by Tully himself. Tully talks to the 3 employees of the VIPs Club to get Tully's services purchased by them, and all 3, because, all 3 of Tully's guys are very good and very experienced in the ring. The 3 employees laugh it off, and it's mainly led by Ethan Page, saying the VIPs only hire the best of the best, not deject people with false records, guys with famous dads, and whatever Fred he is supposed to be. Then, after this, our last segment on BTE, that is significant at all. Best friends are around, and they're checking up on Orange Cassidy's wounds from last week's Dynamite. Of course, he got whipped quite a bit by Pac. They're approached by Kylie Ray, who places a smiley face sticker onto some of Cassidy's bruises. Cassidy does kind of cringe at this because, or winces at it because she's putting stickers onto bruises. Chuck and Trent call Kylie back and ask if she's willing to help against Brutality Inc. And Kylie does seem a little bit hesitant about this and says that she'll get back to them later. Starting off our show of Dark, the Acclaimed defeat Hideki Okatani and Ara Kawasaki. The Acclaimed we have just brought in. We've actually brought in quite a few new tag teams, just to bolster the division even more. Very nice that Caster has the good gimmick. Adam Page defeats John Silver. Riho defeats a debuting Delmi Exo. Crown and Powerful defeat the Gun Club. Shotzi Blackheart defeats Max the Impaler. Nancy Bouchard defeats a debuting Ashley Fox. And then we have a episode of The Waiting Room with Dean Malenko as the guest. Britt alludes that Malenko is a special new debut that he wants to show off, but says that no one on the roster... sorry about that. I'm very tired. Has the same skill set as the person that he is coaching now in AEW, Jessamine Duke. Duke comes into the waiting room, but before she can even say anything, Layla Hirsch shows up and claims that Duke does not, in fact, have a unique skill set, that Hirsch has been around for a while, gotten no attention, that she wants to go up against Jessamine Duke on next week's Dark. Jessamine Duke, I could see her being a fairly solid hand in the ring. Obviously, she's not Ronda Rousey, but, still competent MMA fighter. I believe she does have a winning record in MMA. I haven't researched too much into Jessamine Duke, but, yeah, she's on the roster now. Fergal Dever defeats Joey Janela. Bad Influence defeat Willpower. Andrew Everett defeats Michael Nakazawa. And Brody Lee defeats Angelico and gets a bruised tailbone in the process. Thank you, Jericho. Solid show of Dark, I guess. Nothing bad. Sure. Our show of Dark begins with Kenny Omega versus Ricky Starks, as Kenny Omega picks up the win. Very good way to open up the show. We followed up with Devitt walking onto the stage. However, before he can even say anything, Cody Rhodes comes out and gets between Devitt and Kenny. Devitt holds his hands up. He indicates that he doesn't want to fight anyone. He just wants to talk. And Cody slowly makes his way into the ring as Devitt begins to speak. And Devitt says, "You're getting awfully quick on getting in the way, Rhodes. Look, Kenny, I know you're not going to be satisfied with just one match. You want to give the fans what they want. You want to make sure that you can be out there to take me down. You want to make sure that we can really prove who's the best of the best. Well, I'm always down for that. How about we have you and your friend Cody there take out me and someone who's had issues with Mr. Rhodes there." And right as he says that, Samoa Joe rushes into the ring and puts Cody into a coquina clutch. Kenny eventually does manage to pull Joe off, and Joe runs off barking at Cody. Now, this actually wasn't originally my intention to have the first ever winners of the Dusty Rhodes Classic be going up against Cody, but things just kind of worked out that way. Joe has had an unofficial feud with Devitt for quite a while, or not with Devitt, with Cody, since his debut, which I'll eventually make official. It's been a while since I recorded, so I'm not 100% on my storylines, so yeah. And then obviously Devitt, Kenny, yeah, they've been doing their thing. So now we got that match probably confirmed for next week. After a rundown of the night's card, the Young Bucks enter the ring with a super elaborate entrance, being introduced as the tag team champions. As they get in the ring, they make fun of other tag teams, and they offer an open challenge for their title. And that open challenge is actually answered by the Briscoes, of all people. And the Young Bucks end up defeating the Briscoes with the Meltzer Driver. I have brought in the Briscoes. They were probably the big tag team that I've brought in. I brought in Aussie Open, Briscoes, Team C Stars, which is actually Vox Domi Exo, and then also, who was the other team that was on Dark? That would have been the Acclaimed. So yeah, Briscoes here, they're going to be a very solid hand in the tag team division. Don't know how much of a run they'll get, because I don't know all too much about the Briscoes. Other than that, they're very controversial, thus their gimmicks, but we'll see how things go from there. After this, the Vision quickly hit the ring and easily take down the tired Young Bucks. They hit Nick with their finishing move before Archer takes down Matt with a blackout. They grab their titles back and say that they're pissed, and they want to take it up with Heyman to have their title match next week against the Bucks. After this, Ashley Flair is seen pacing around backstage by herself, with the entirety of the Queen's Court off to help Lady Bernice prepare for an upcoming match against Awesome Kong. Ric Flair approaches her and asks what's wrong, and Ashley says that it's not fair how people who are far more unimportant than her have been getting more screen time. Her lackey in Bernice gets a title shot, Maki Ito gets fairly regular screen time despite being a joke, Shotzi's nothing compared to her, and she wants to list off tons of people on the roster. Eventually Rick just stops her, says that she just needs to stay focused. You know, he didn't become the Nature Boy, he didn't become one of the best of all time by worrying about everything. He took his opportunities, and Flair actually does seem to calm down and agrees with this, though she still debates whether or not to help Bernice out. That match does come up next. Very weak match. Wanted to give a Dynamite win to Lady Bernice, mainly. None of the people who I had as recognizable I really wanted to give away, so kind of just gave this match to Awesome Kong. Made a pretty short match. Lady Bernice with the Queen Kick. After this, Kana's music plays, but the champ doesn't come to the stage. Instead, after a few seconds, it cuts to backstage where Ashley Flair is beating down Kana. Flair keeps the attacks up until Maki Ito and Abaddon come in and begin to fight off Flair, but then they are interrupted by the Queen's Court all coming to the rescue. Security do manage to apprehend the entirety of the Queen's Court. Flair looks almost happy with the court's involvement, so, you know, obviously this is kind of just a moment that it's very, very briefly brought up. I mean, you could probably read into it a little bit further in some of, a little bit closer in some of the other weeks, some weeks past, where, you know, Flair might be getting a little bit jealous of some of her Queen's Court because they're getting some screen time more than she is. But, you know, right now she seems fine with them, you know. She's happy that they came to her aid. We'll see if I end up doing anything with this possibility of Flair and the court not getting along. I don't know yet, honestly. After this, we get a super short match. Miro defeats Frederick Hurst with Bullplex. I'm going to guess... well-executed squash. I thought Miro's gimmick had a bonus for looking dominant, but oh well. After this, Sammy Guevara comes to the ring after the squash match and offers his challenge to Miro. Of course, last week Sammy said, hey, Miro wants a tune-up, I can be your tune-up opponent. Miro looks annoyed by Sammy coming out again and declines it once again, and Sammy, very frustrated, and is like, alright, fine, I'll just go to Heyman about this. And speaking of Heyman, we then see him in his office, and it looks very official. It's not, you know, one of those, you know, it's almost like a press conference. And Heyman just says, it's come to my attention that some of my practices have been controversial with backstage personnel. and mainly my suspensions of everyone involved in altercations. I still do not fully intend to let up on this, as I wish to promote a civil environment. However, I will be looking into lowering this. However, more importantly, at the request of Jake Roberts and Tony Khan, next week will be a tag team special night. Every match will be a tag team matchup, main evented by the tag team title match between the Vision and the Young Bucks. However, because of this, it also means that in 2 weeks' time, Midnight Dynamite, the second-ranked team, will go against the Vision, and once Rey Fenix is cleared to compete, the Lucha Bros will get their own tag team title match. And now, he does say, the Vision, because they're the current champions, it's presumably, Midnight Dynamite would get a match against whoever wins between the Bucks and the Vision. So, yeah. Next week, entirely tag matches. I'm going to try to actually remember that, because it'll probably still be a few days until I record that part, knowing me. So, hopefully I can actually remember to have every match be a tag team match in the next week. Hikaru defeats Chris Statler, very solid match. And afterwards, Anna Jay and Ty Conti come to the ramp after Shida's match. Anna Jay takes the lead in saying that while Shida was a valuable champion, it's time for the youth to take over, led by the Dark Order, and in particular, or youth in general, led by the Dark Order, her, and Ty Conti. Jay is about to say more, but Shida cuts off Anna Jay and says that she's challenging the two to a tag team match next week. Surprised the girls of the Dark Order, who agreed to it, figuring that Shida doesn't have a partner, but presumably Shida does have a partner in mind. After this, Eddie Kingston and John Moxley are seen backstage talking to a camera. Two of them said that they're now working together, as they always should have been, and that they're going to make Moxley the first person in the company's history to hold 2 different titles by going after the tag team titles. Because they know that they need to climb the records because they're not scumbags like the Bucks who basically cheat to get up the order. So next week, they will have their first match as a tag team. They still haven't decided their opponent yet. Right now, I'm thinking the Briscoes, but I'm not 100% certain about that at the time of this recording. At this, MJF seen in the VIP's lounge, sipping on some champagne. It's tag team night next week, huh? Well, I think it's time that I finally get at least a loss on your record, Ibushi. Sure, it'll only be a tag team loss, and I wouldn't be surprised if we just pin your partner, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that your pristine record will be ruined. Since you're going to be my next opponent after I beat down Kota, I think it's time I give you a damn good tune-up, Miro. So how about we take advantage of this tag team festival? Me and Chris against Kota and Miro. Oh, and Tenille and Deanna want a piece of you too, Jordan Grace, so have fun figuring out your partner for that. Another 2 matches announced. For that, you do have Tenille and Deanna versus Jordan Grace and someone else. And then MJF and Chris Bay against Kota Ibushi and Miro. In our main event, Darby Allin defeats Ace Austin with a coffin drop. Very nice performance by both of them, and they have great chemistry. Oh-ho. You don't say. That's very interesting. After this, Jericho comes to the ring afterwards, and he has his baseball bat in hand. He's quickly interrupted by Jeff Hardy rushing out and blocking it with a chair strike. Jericho and Ace run out of the ring, but Jeff and Darby are then attacked from behind by Jake Hager and Sammy Guevara. Jericho and Ace then return to the ring, continue to beat down the 2 of them for a while, and eventually Ace at some point does leave this, and the other 3 members of the the Inner Circle keep on beating down Darby and Jeff Hardy, until eventually Hager powerbombs them both through tables set up by AJ Mendez and Ace Austin to end off our show. I'm very happy with this rating. Obviously, everything was good. It's very nice that things worked out that, I gave probably one of our weakest Dynamite matches ever. But that's fine. It's whatever. 79 opened up the show? Yeah. Surprise, surprise, Kenny Omega good at wrestling. Next week, we have our tag team match. Again, this recording a little bit shorter than normal because it's been a while since I've done any booking. So, yeah. Next week, tag team matches. We'll see how that goes.